It's now 20 past 7 in the morning here in Paris. Time to move on with a check on the top stories in the French papers today with Diptyque Laurent. Hello there.
Hi, Kat.
Now, you're going to be starting us off with a story that's been pretty big news in Paris for quite a while now, the Olympic bid and France's hopes to get the Olympics back to its capital city.
That's right, and those hopes got a boost yesterday after a decision from the IOC in Lausanne to give a double attribution. So Paris and the city of Los Angeles will be able to host the 2024 and 2028 Games. Le Figaro on its front page calls it Le Grand Retour, the grand return of the Olympic Games to Paris. Remember that the last time Paris hosted Olympics was in 1924, so almost 100 years ago. And the final decision will be made in September. French President Emmanuel Macron was there in person himself to lend a more personal touch to Paris's bid. The communist paper L'Humanité says there was virtually zero suspense after a number of host cities dropped out of the race. It's becoming more and more undesirable to host the Olympics now. But the paper says the Games are a done deal for Paris 20-something, because we still don't know when they'll be able to host.
Exactly. Paris is going to get one of them. We just don't know which one.
That's right. We don't know if it's 24 or 28. The sports paper L'Équipe is a little bit more on guard in its coverage, saying, yes, we will have the Games under certain conditions, because now the haggling begins. Paris and London must find an accord to decide who wants which Games. Paris obviously wants the 2024 Games to mark the centenary, but it's not sure if they'll get it. And not everyone's happy because, for instance, the Australian Olympic authorities have cried foul, saying if they had known there would be a double decision, well, then they would have thrown their name in the hat as well.
Oh dear. Well, the rules changed along the way. It's always a bit tricksy, isn't it? Well, while the president has been having a bit of fun, I think we can say quite fairly, over in Lausanne, talking about the Olympics, his prime minister has had much more serious affairs to talk about. Edouard Philippe has given an interview to the business paper Les Echos. He is talking about tax reforms.
That's right. The big tax reforms that the government is debating. The reforms aim to eliminate residency taxes for many French households and reduce personal fortune taxes for some of the most rich French taxpayers. Philippe calls it a fiscal shock to boost confidence, as you see on the front page of the business paper Les Echos. In his interview, he says the government is aiming to lower taxes by 11 billion euros in 2018. That means the government needs to save 20 billion euros in public spending. He's also been forced in this interview to defend his relationship with Emmanuel Macron, which has come under fire of sorts because a few weeks ago, Macron held a speech in Versailles in front of French parliamentarians a day before Edouard Philippe's long-scheduled speech, inaugural speech, to French Parliament.
All right, let's move on with another big story in France this morning. Many papers reporting on the death of a former judge who presided over a rather grisly cold case. This very long-running affair. It's known as l'affaire Grégory, the name of a little boy.
That's right, a little boy, Grégory, who was a 4-year-old boy who was found murdered in 1986. It's a 30-year-old cold case that's been recently reopened due to new evidence. The judge, the very first judge who presided over that case, his name is Jean-Michel Lambert. Well, he has been found dead in his home of what is suspected to be a suicide. 4-year-old Grégory Villemain was killed in 1984, and over the years, various members of his family were suspected of being behind his murder, because if you dig deeper into this story, there's a very intricate weave of family jealousy, troubles over money, possible payback, that kind of thing. Anyway, new evidence has shown that various members of his family may have each played a different role in his death. Judge Lambert was just 32 when he took this case on. It was his first case, and one that really defined his career, and Le Figaro explains that he faced a lot of criticism for the way he handled it. Anyway, he has been described as an affable man who never let the high pressure of the case get to him.
Yes, another very sad twist in that long-running case, as you say. No, well, we do have a more uplifting note to end our press review on. A tetraplegic Frenchman who's going to be travelling around the United States and Canada as well, very ambitious, in a camping car. Now, this is a trip that he hopes will raise awareness about his handicap, what handicapped people can do.
That's right. This is a great story. You can read about it in the French edition of the Huffington Post. Samuel Marie will be turning 30 in August, and he'll be celebrating that birthday in Canada because a tetraplegic young man left last weekend for a 16-country journey over the next 11 months. For the next 6 months, he'll be across the Atlantic, traveling the U.S. and Canada in a custom-made camping car that you see in on this article from the Huffington Post. Then he'll come back to Paris before heading off again on an epic journey that'll take him to Beijing and Istanbul.
Wow.
A journey of 25,000 kilometers.
Goodness.
He actually, his backstory is that he had a very promising career in cross-country skiing before a horrific fall that changed his life. Anyway, during his journey, he'll be meeting startups and associations to raise awareness, importantly, about handicap access. You can follow his, quote, handy road trip on his website, Ça me fait rouler.
That's a really nice, uplifting story, as you say. Thanks so much to Petit Laurent, who's going to be looking through the international news headlines for us a little bit later on in the programme as well. Right now, we're going to take a short break here on Live from Paris, and we'll be back with you in just a couple of minutes' time.